All right, Trey Rivers, how's it going?
Man, I'm chilling, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Well, I'm glad to have you on my show. You're coming from a different area. I don't think I've interviewed anybody from your area before, man. Can you let them know, where you're from and what it was like for you growing up there?
I'm from a small town called Three Rivers, Michigan. It ain't really too big. We like 2 hours away from Detroit, 2 hours away from Chicago. And like growing up there, it's kind of like anywhere, any small town. It can go down there. It's drug infested. It ain't, it's just like any small town that has problems. But it's a good spot.
Okay, you mentioned it's like a small town. How big is your city? Do you know?
Like population probably like 7,000.
Wow, that's small. Okay, so it's like everybody kind of knows everybody.
Yes, sir. You can ride through the whole city. At least 5 minutes.
How many schools do you have?
It's one high school, one middle school. It's a lot of elementary schools, but everybody go to the same school.
Okay, I take it there's no gangs there.
Yeah, I mean it is, but it's a lot of people in my town come from Chicago, so it's kind of more of the gangs that's from Chicago come towards that way.
So people bringing the gangs out there. Okay, but it's still not going to be like a strong.
Yeah.
It's
nah, for sure.
With only 7,000 people, I mean that's small. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so, what is high school like?
To be honest, I don't know. I didn't go to high school. I went to 3 different high schools. My first freshman year, I went to Ohio, and then I went to 2 schools in like it's a spot called Kalamazoo, like 20 minutes north of where I'm from. And then after that, I dropped out of school. So I really wouldn't know how high school is for a person in my town. I really wouldn't even know. I didn't even go to middle school in my town either.
Now, you got kicked out of these schools?
Nah, I was in Ohio and I ended up leaving and traveling with my mom back to Kalamazoo, Michigan. Stayed there, and I was on one side of town in Kalamazoo, and then I moved to another side of town. That's when I switched schools. And then by that time, my credits, I was ended up getting expelled, stuff like that. I ended up getting back into school, but after that, that's when I was just on my own tip.
Do you ever feel like people underestimate you because of where you're from?
Oh yeah, all the time. There ain't nobody in my area that's done what I had done. So seeing me from a small town, they don't, a lot of people don't take it serious enough.
Can you kind of talk about who you've worked with, and you've been in the music business a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I got a record with Project Pat. I got a record with Lil Mister. I got a record with Boosie Badass. I got records with Boobie Black, OG Boobie Black. And I got another record with Chris Calico from Strange Music. So, yeah, I think that's about it.
How'd you get these records?
Just networking, politicking, and, paying for features. Some of them pay them, some of them was just off the love, stuff like that. Just trying to get my name, with a bigger name.
How are you networking coming from such a small city? Like, are you going to Detroit to meet people? Are you going to Chicago to meet people? Like, how are you?
I travel a lot, but a lot of my networking be from online. I hit people up on, IG or whatever, and we'll politic, and then whatever town that I be in, I go there. I go to Atlanta a lot. I come to Chicago. So I just meet people a lot of times online and, when I'm out traveling.
Now, which feature did the most for you?
I would say my feature with Boosie.
Yeah, that's a pretty big feature. Were you guys in the studio together?
Yep, I went down to his house. We was in Atlanta. We went down to his crib. We recorded the track. And then I want to say like 2 weeks later, I came back down to Atlanta and we did the video. But like as far as today, it's one of my biggest records.
Okay. What was it like going to Boosie's house?
It was dope. You know what I mean? He was one of my top 5, favorite rappers. So, it was kind of like, I was kind of geeked and trying to stay, composed at the same time because I'm meeting one of my favorite rappers. But it was dope. He showed me love. He didn't act no funny with me or nothing. We did the record. It came out great.
Is there any lessons that you learned working with any of these guys?
Uh, I learned that as you an independent artist, that don't never count on a major artist don't count on a major artist to help you promote your record with them unless you paying for promotion. That's the lessons I done learned. And then I learned that this game is all business at the end of the day. It ain't buddy, like how people think it is.
So you came into it thinking that you were gonna build real friendships or something.
Yeah, in a way, I was growing up in it young and always, coming from my small town, I don't really know how it is and how cities, when I get to different cities, I see how it move. And as you growing up in it, you just thinking that everybody, you see rappers together, you think that's really how it is when it's not really like that.
At what age did you start rapping?
At 13, I recorded my first record at 13.
Now, were you the only person in your city rapping? I mean, you have a small city, so there can't really be too much of a hip hop scene there, right?
Yeah, at that time, yeah. I mean, it was other little groups. It was like a group out there, I think that was rapping, but I didn't know they was older than me, so I didn't know them like that. And but yeah, at that time, I would say yeah, pretty much me.
The only rapper in your whole city.
Yeah, it's other artists, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, for me, yeah, pretty much, yeah.
I mean, that must have been tough, because you don't really have that, like, competition where you got other guys you're competing with or other guys you're in the studio with. It's, you got the whole city on your back and you got to maneuver through everything. It seems like it'd be a lot more difficult.
Yeah, it is. It's a long road. But my competition, I always looked at everybody else in the rap game as competition. I really didn't look at nobody around me as competition. Just because I know my work ethic. So I always, because, if anything did happen in my career that took me this, certain spot, I would be in competition with whoever's hot. So I always try to, come at my records like that.
Did you ever get in any trouble growing up?
Yeah, little stuff here and there, but nothing too major. I was more in the streets, but I was doing a lot of rapping. Same petty hustling, small stuff, hanging out with, drug dealers, hanging out with, people, doing bad stuff, but nothing too wild,
Okay, did you play sports?
Yeah, I played basketball. That's pretty much it. I ain't really no sports guy.
What do you think is like the best thing and the worst thing coming from a small city?
The best thing is, I say the worst thing is you can't get in connections with people, and it take a longer route for you to get in with a lot of people and network with people. The best thing that you can control your section and you can start, having like cult followings in these little cities that's all around you.
Okay, because you would have like other little cities and everything all around you, so they would relate to what you're going through and your struggle and everything. And, Michigan probably has like a lot of little cities like that.
Yeah.
Now, have you performed like in any big cities like Chicago or Detroit yet?
Yep, I performed in Chicago. I opened up for Kevin Gates in Chicago. My first show actually was in Chicago when I was like 14. I can't really remember the spot, but I performed in Chicago many a times, Detroit, Atlanta. I performed in New York, Minneapolis, Ohio, Cleveland, you know what I'm saying? I performed a lot of spots.
How was your family life?
My family life, I'm a father of 3. I got 3 boys, and I just take care of my family, be a proud father, be there for them. And my youngest son, he autistic, so it's challenging, with certain things like that. But that's just the learning process, and it makes it better for me.
How'd you come up with your name?
My name before Trey Riverz was Red Bizzle, and I had that for like a lot of time. And I think right before the heavyweight, I just wanted to rebirth it, do like a transformation, and I just put Trey Riverz because the town that I'm from is 3 Rivers. So I felt like, okay, don't nobody know my town. They always think of Detroit when they think of Michigan. So when they see me, they gonna know my town. They gonna know my name.
You're heavily independent. What's the hardest part of wearing all the hats? The rapper, the producer, the director, the designer?
It's difficult because when you managing life and then you managing family life and then music, But when you're an independent artist, you can't make excuses. You got to wear all the hats until you can build that team up. You know what I mean? So it's really no distractions. It's just all action. You just got to do what you got to do. It's hard. It gets stressful, but you'll be all right.
A lot of artists struggle with getting heard. What's one hustle tip you'd give an artist trying to break through?
Right now, for any artist that's trying to break through, do a lot of content. Have a budget. Know a budget what you're trying to work with. Get with the right people to run your ads and TikTok influencers, stuff like that. I think that'll be the best way to get exposure in this time of day.
Do you feel like labels still hold all the power, or can independent artists make it just as big today?
It's ways that independent artists can make it today. They go through a lot to get there because, you like you said, you wearing all the hats, but the labels still kind of do run a lot of stuff because they own everything. The budget is different, you know what I mean? So certain playlists you try to get on regularly, you wouldn't be able to. So I think, yeah, the labels do, but right now independent is winning. But a lot of this stuff, too, be underneath because a lot of these record labels be promoting these artists to be independent, but really they low-key signed to a label. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. That's usually how they do it. You find out years later that the artist wasn't really independent, that they were really signed, and that things were going on behind the scenes that we didn't even know about.
Yeah.
Your music reflects your struggle. What's one of the toughest situations you've been through that shaped who you are today?
Say my toughest was staying. My toughest thing I went through probably just staying in my city trying to make it out. Anything else is normal to me. Any problems, any situation that goes on, bad or good or whatever, is normal for me. So I think it just be staying in my city and still trying to make it out of my city instead of leaving to another city and doing it then coming back.
Right, because I think you'd probably have a much better chance of being successful if you went to Detroit or Chicago and hustled from there.
Yep.
Have you thought about doing that?
Yeah, I have. I stayed in Georgia for like 2 years, and I learned, I go out. I travel a lot. I go out to see these cities and stuff like that, but you really, at this time of day, you really can make it from anywhere. It's just about how hard you go and what you're going to do with it. I don't have to go to Detroit or go, it's pretty much the same showcase, open mic. Yeah, the connections is there, but if you really ain't got no money, ain't nobody really talking to you in this game.
Yeah, you got to be able to offer value in some way. If it's not money, then you got to find something else that you can offer to people for sure.
Yep.
Being from a small city and being that it's so hard to make it out of the small city, was there ever a time you thought about quitting music, and what keeps you going?
Yeah, all the time. I ain't even gonna lie. Sometimes I get frustrated and I just be like, I don't really want to fuck with this shit for real. But it's the drive. I just got a drive in me. It's like I gotta fill a void in me every day. It's something I stay on it every day, and it's been like that since I was 13 when I started. So now my kids is more of my purpose for me to keep going, but it's always a void in my heart that I gotta feel. So I really say it's just me. I got my own drive. I ain't finna stop for nobody.
A lot of artists say success brings fake love. Have you experienced that as you've grown?
Yeah, you'll get a lot of that. You ain't even gotta be, you can have one thing that's successful and then everybody is around you just before that, that highlight moment in your life real quick. And then, they'll, turn around and dish you and talk about you, That's most definitely gonna happen with anybody that has success.
Being independent, I assume you put all your stuff on YouTube, Spotify. Do you have a game plan? Like, how are you gonna take it to the next level?
I mean, right now I'm working on a project and I'm just staying consistent. Me and OG Booby Black got a project we working on too. Right now I'm just flooding out a lot of music until I get us to, how I want to present a single out. Right now my main focus is getting my fans, getting a big fan following, dropping hella music for them right now. Because I could choose to go try to use the, to go the major route or go do something different, but that ain't really what I'm trying to do. Like, you know what I mean? I'm cool with how I'm trying to do it. So right now I'm just gonna keep dropping music, keep networking, keep, putting my budget together and working my records the way I can.
You mentioned you dropped out. So you're young, I know you're 16, 17 years old, you drop out of school. What do you do with your day? If you're not going to school, are you just hanging out at the house watching TV? Like,
I started hustling. I just got in the street, started hustling, and then when I basically I didn't like drop out and just leave. I ended up going back with my daddy, and I ended up running away, going back to Michigan, and that's when I got into like a little alternative school. So I ended up getting my GED, but I was only in there for like 4 months. It wasn't really, it wasn't that hard, but I just started hustling, and I was more focused on my music, getting really, just doing teenage dumb shit, getting outside, trying to, fuck on hoes and, make some moves and get in the studio. That's really what I was doing.
How did your parents feel when they found out you dropped out and that you were in the streets?
To be honest, my parents was not even in Michigan. One was in Arizona and one was in Ohio. They was mad about it, like any other parent would be. But I just, ever since I was young, I just do my own thing, and I'm going to figure it out on my own way.
Okay. Who are you staying with? Did you already mention who you were staying with?
No, I was staying with my auntie, and then I left, and then I just started staying with my cousins and house to house or whatever little female I was messing around with at the time, stuff like that, until my mama ended up coming back like a couple years later.
Okay. Did you ever get a regular job?
Yeah. I don't work regular jobs. At first I really wasn't. I was focused on rapping and hustling. But I ended up getting regular jobs. Yeah, I didn't worked in making car parts. I done worked in a paper mill. I done did a lot of gigs.
Okay, now you're working a regular job. Did you ever get fired? Or how'd you end up leaving some of these jobs?
I got fired one time. I think some girl told on me. I had drunk like a bill or something before work, and then she told me that's how they fired me. I think that's the only time I ever got fired. Majority of the jobs I would leave and go get another job that was paying more.
What song of yours do you feel people need to hear to understand who you are?
Shit. I would say Perfect the Way You Are. I got a song called Perfect the Way You Are, and it kind of like explains my story. So I think that. But I have a lot of songs that's kind of like real deep, like My Side Effects of Pain, Disappear with Chris Calico. So I got like a lot of deep songs that people can really get. It ain't just one record I got. I got a lot of, I really talk about my life majority in my records.
How do you handle the pressure of constantly proving yourself in this game?
I handle it. I handle it well. I can't stop for nobody, and I can't let nobody's opinion or they comment or whatever they hate or they song, whatever. It ain't gonna. I'm gonna just keep going regardless, because I know I got to do this for my kids. You know what I'm saying? I got to get my mom a crib. And to that day, you're gonna see me working. It don't matter what it is, you're gonna see me working.
You've done sold-out shows with Kevin Gates. What's the wildest thing you've seen or experienced at a show?
I think the wildest thing I seen was I think we was in Chattanooga, and I think some people got to fighting like in the crowd. They was real drunk in that show for sure. But not nothing too crazy. Every time I did the shows with Gates, they was wonderful. You know what I'm saying? It was the best energy. The fans is great. People, they screaming, they showing love. You know what I mean? It's always great energy when I go with Kevin Gates and them.
How'd you end up on a show with Kevin Gates in Chattanooga?
In Chattanooga, my first show I did with Kevin Gates was in South Carolina, Charleston. I had ended up talking to my dog BWA Round, shout out him. And he had hit me up, let me know that they got this show, told me how the situation go. We ended up handling the business, and I got down there, and then after that, that's just how we kept building our relationship. I just kept jumping on more shows and getting out there.
What's been your favorite city to perform in so far?
Chicago.
Have you ever worked with any of the major artists from Chicago?
I think only artist I worked from Chicago, Lil Mister. Rest in peace to him.
Little
That's the only
Mister,
artist.
okay. Did you guys get in the studio and work?
Nah, it was over the phone. I had sent them the track, and we was chopping it up and sent it back. It was, kind of, simple, getting in the game, little quick feature stuff like that. It really wasn't too nothing crazy. That was early, like it was early to 2014, 2012, around that time.
So was this before No Lacking or after No Lacking?
I think it was after No Lacking for sure. I think he had just got out, like not too long when I did the record with him.
Damn, okay. That sucks. So you guys didn't get to meet.
No.
Performing in Chicago, have you opened up for any big Chicago artists?
Nope. Nope. I ain't had no connections in with opening up for no big artists. I've been to a WGCI event, met a couple people. Fat Joe was there. Went to like a Hennessy event after that, and that's when like Doja Cat and I think it was like a couple artists. It was early in their career before people really knew them. They was there, and I met Four from Black Ink Chicago. Shout out to Four.
If you could headline a tour with any three artists, dead or alive, who would it be?
Tech Nine, 50 Cent, Boosie.
To someone who's never been to a Trey Riverz show, what would they expect?
You're going to expect a lot of energy. You're going to expect, hypeness. I'm going to turn up. I'm going to talk to the crowd. I'm going to get in there with y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to vibe with y'all. We're going to make it happen. It's going to be an experience you ain't never seen,
What's the ultimate goal for you? What does success look like in your eyes?
Success in my eyes is basically kind of like the last question, headlining a tour. That's really what I want out of it. It's just a fan base and a tour. I really don't care about the fame, the clout, all that stuff is cool, it's good. I understand it's entertainment that just had to go. But I just want to, I want to get out here and have a stupid fan base and tour and just see my name in lights. That's how I can, let me know that I put all this work in, you know what I mean? Because everything else, it's just an accolade. It just gets stuck to the wall. After you get that feeling, and it's gone. So I feel like the success for me would just be torn.
What message do you want people to take from your music and your story?
I want people to understand a kid that, grew up in a small town, that went through struggles, went through ups and downs, went through the hurdles to get into the music, and let them know that, it's possible. You can make it. You can get out here and make stuff happen that you never thought could happen. You could be in front of people that you ain't never thought you could be around. You know what I'm saying? I just want to let a lot of people know that just believe. Believe in yourself and put all your effort into yourself. You will achieve it.
Is there any features that you haven't got that you still want to do?
I think a feature. I would love to work with Kevin Gates on the song. I would love to work with like Chris Brown. Like I'm more of it's just depending on the record. You know what I'm saying? If the record fits whatever artist that I like, but not, it'd be Chris Brown, Kevin Gates. The people that I really want on the record, they did. James Brown, Pimp C, people like that passed away, Dolph, Bankroll Fresh, Trouble. Them the people that I really wanted to work with.
Where do you see yourself and your hustle grind in the next 5 years?
I see us elevating. I see us on the top. Like I was telling you, I see me headlining tours. I see me moving around, coming back to your platform and, letting you know how I did it. You know what I'm saying?
When it's all said and done, how do you want Trey Riverz to be remembered?
The greatest. Just remember me as a great. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that motivate and, give people hope. And, that's all I want them to remember me as. They don't got to remember, it ain't got to be nothing special.
Well, that's what it is. Trey Riverz, man, I appreciate you
For sure, man. I appreciate it.
taking the time, man, all the way out from Michigan. I know it's not easy to make it out of a small town, but I wish you the best, man. Good luck
Hey.
with everything.
I appreciate it.
All right, bro.
Already.
What's up? This is Cam Capone. We got more content like this coming soon, so hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in to Cam Capone News.